All righty, we are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Castro, and I help marketplace leaders who love Jesus really make an impact for God's glory within their sphere of influence. Today, I have the wonderful pleasure of interviewing two ladies, Hawley, which I know really well, and Carey, which I'm getting to know as we speak. And so let me introduce them to you. Hollywood's Gray and Carey Yukich. They wrote a book called Push Through Your Ultimate Success Playbook. And their athletic background and various experiences in overcoming challenges taught both of these amazing ladies how to lead well and lay a solid foundation for success in life and work. Their book is designed to be a journey of self-discovery, along with great principles to do the same for your life and work. So grab a comfortable seat, sit down, and we're going to chat about it. So tell me, ladies, how come you wrote this book and who did you write it for?
Go ahead, Carey.
Well, that's a fantastic question. And first, Chris, thanks for having us today. And what common threads have come out even after the publishing of the book have been amazing. So when this started, Hawley and I really were using some of our common background and values in ways of helping other people. So first and foremost, we want to help and empower other people. Use our experiences, our stories, and who knows, it might just be the catalyst that helps people overcome some obstacle or something that's been in their way, or reach a higher level of success. So I think that we also wanted to make sure we gave people concrete steps, ideas that have worked for us and that may be part of their solutions or strategies they can utilize, but also a forum for them to discover what might work for them, where their strengths are and where their challenges are, to overcome what we call push through. And a lot of people have asked us what that means. Maybe Hawley, you can expound on that a little bit.
Absolutely. So, for me, I had this idea kind of burning for a while that I have really taken what I've learned as an athlete and applied it to my business to be successful. I have about 100 agents in my insurance agency. And what I do every day is I coach them. I coach them on how to be successful in building their business, how to be successful with working with their clients. And even when I'm working with my clients, I feel like I'm their coach, their financial coach, to help them get to whatever their end goals are. I've always been big on goal setting, so is Carey. And I think, that team atmosphere that we both really grew up in has really helped us to, be able to push through. And so what push through is to me is it's just the ability to be in a situation where you're being challenged, or maybe you're having a breakdown, or maybe you are lost at what you're going to do next, and to have the grit to dig in and push through. Both Carey and I had to do that as athletes. We've had to do that as business owners. And my goodness, even in a male-dominated industry that we serve in, we've had to do that even in meetings sometimes, to just push through to the end of that meeting to get to what's next. So for us, it's really about, teaching people some of the principles that have helped us be successful. But if you already have those traits and characteristics, how do you push through to the next level? Because, you don't arrive until you're in the grave. That's my opinion, till you meet the maker at the gates is when you really arrive, in my opinion. So for me, it's like, what's the next level of my leadership look like? What does that next level of leadership look like for my team? What's the next best me, best wife, best mother, best friend that I can be every day in and out?
And a lot of people love the stories that you have in your book, and you have so many great interviews. And as a culture, most people learn or really get motivated by stories. And so what prompted you to include the stories you chose as part of your overall message?
Well, for me, each week we had to really dig into what we were going to share. And so a lot of times Carey and I would talk about, okay, what are you going to be sharing about this week? And so If she was sharing a story related to volleyball or to sports, I might have taken a different twist and done something more family oriented or business oriented, because we don't want people to think that you have to be an athlete to get the concept of pushing through. You definitely don't. I know people, Chris, I know your story, and I know that, we're often talking about that on our Tuesday morning calls. So for me, it really took me back to some times in my life where those big decisions that I made really set the course for where I am today. And I didn't even realize it when I was making those decisions, those choices, those commitments, those leaps of faith, really. And sometimes it was. So yeah, for me, that's really where I had to do some soul searching. We had some tears, huh, Carey?
Yeah, definitely. And I would relate and just add with what Hawley said is, we started to talk about the concept with just our friends and family and people. And then we also thought about reaching out to some people that have been important and influential in our lives and test out our concepts and the thoughts that were in our head. And it helped to validate, but more than anything, it just exploded, because these incredible, successful CEOs, Olympic athletes, Olympic coach, professional athletes shared some significant common threads. And oftentimes there seems to be a gap, between, the irregular, everyday, real people and these incredible, successful entrepreneurs. And there isn't much, it's them applying these concepts in their lives. And it took on a whole new shape to the book. In fact, at the end of just about every chapter, we share their stories that we got to interview them. And I'm so excited about it, because we started out with this dream list, and we got some of those people. We wanted to make sure we had men and women, younger and older, different cultures and backgrounds, and non-athletes and athletes, so that we could see that commonality. And just from Sandra Yancey to Danelle Delgado, Karch Karai, who was on the top of our dream list, right, Hawley?
That one was a little bit not just like our dream list to interview him for the book, but our dream list to meet him, because he's been an idol, like not an idol, but like a star that we look up to for many, many years, because he's the best male volleyball player, and now he coaches the women's Olympic team. So
yeah. And Mehran Asadi is the CEO of National Life Group, which is one of the companies both Hawley and I work with. And then Salima Rockwell, who we had no idea at the time when we interviewed these folks just how impactful their stories were and their push through moments, and just was incredible. And then last but not least was Kelsey Plum, a WNBA basketball player and just phenomenal person. And getting to know and rub elbows with these people was a highlight of this whole process for us.
The Kelsey Plum interview, I really enjoyed. I mean, all of them were great, but I had a question about that one. She shares about why someone would consider having an elite mindset. And I want to ask you about how that's been true for you guys from your perspective.
You want me to start with that one, Hawley?
Yeah, go for it.
I think the focus is on the possibilities, and I relate this back to even little things, like when I was lifting weights at Northwestern University, and we had our strength and conditioning coach training us. And oftentimes mentally we'll stop and we think we are bound by, the thoughts we have in our head. And we don't realize the possibilities and potential just by going that one next rep or those 5 more pounds, or, I'm relating it certainly to athletics, but this can be in making going to that job interview that you were, intimidated to go for, or it was a dream job, or in both of our cases, becoming entrepreneurs. The burn and the limit of that last repetition, or the repetition of something you've never done before, is the elite mindset, we think. And it's in all, it's in us. And what we're trying to help is people to uncover it and see it. And that often the possibilities are right on the other side of what they previously thought was their limit. And that concept is really that push through whatever it took. And, several of the people we interviewed, including Kelsey, talked about that. Sandra said, the message came from her mom, and it was, how do you know the miracle is not just 5 minutes away or 5 seconds away? And to get through it, whether it's a coach or in the strength and conditioning coach, like the example I just gave, you name it, a family member, your own drive to push you through to the possibilities above which you've never experienced before.
Well, and I think just to add to that is, Kelsey didn't maybe talk about it as much, but she did talk about it a little bit, is her faith had a big play in that mindset. You cannot be resentful and grateful at the same time. It's impossible, right? So, when you're in a state where you are giving thanks to the things that are going right in your life, more things go right in your life. It's funny because this part wasn't in the story, but I remember Kelsey, and I've known her since she was a baby. I remember Kelsey coming, a story when I was playing volleyball at her mom's house. Her mom and I are really good friends. We actually met through volleyball, but we also go to the same church. So we met, we were out playing volleyball at their house one day, and she's like sharing some stories with the ladies that were out playing. And she's like, yeah, can you believe this? Kelsey's coach laughed when she told her that she wanted to go to Tennessee. Tennessee was like the #1 basketball program at the time, right? And so she was like 12 or 13. And she's like, yeah, my dream school is Tennessee. And the coach went, and I'm like, don't let that coach poke holes in your dreams, Kelsey Plum. You can go to whatever school you want. Like, she just doesn't know your heart, and so we were going to get t-shirts made that says, don't let your coach poke holes in your dreams, which is true. Like, you got to make sure you have the right support around you too. That's part of that elite mindset. And sometimes, you just have to count on yourself. And like I said, the faith that you have, because sometimes there will be people that don't believe in you, and you have to be the one that pushes through that.
Yeah, that's so very true. I found that in my own life too. The people I have around me either push me forward into greatness, or they hold me back from greatness. So, well, my next question is for Carey. So one of the quotes in your book is, fear is, like most other temporary roadblocks, part of a mental game you play when reaching outside your comfort zone. So the story of fear when you felt like the beginning of your college volleyball scholarship, what prompted you to rise above your fear, and what advice would you give to somebody who doesn't know how to do that?
That's an amazing question. The fear in that case was the incredible possibility, that I actually saw that as an answer to what I wanted to do or be in the future. So in somewhat, it was my naivety too. I mean, and now looking back on it, what an incredible opportunity and jump it was. So the story really is about me being from a high school that had 85 kids in the graduating class and 2 villages that came together to make that school. And to go to Northwestern University in Chicago in the Big Ten and have any shot at playing, but to also have the ability to have my entire education paid for. somewhat, I really just focused. And I have to say, to Hawley's point, prayed a lot. I had some people that were naysayers, but I had coaches, friends, family who believed, in me too. And sometimes you need some people to see in you some things you don't maybe see in yourself. And it was, it was really that dream, a drive to get something that would be the answer, to, what I wanted to accomplish. And I knew that I wanted to go to college, and I loved volleyball. And, so it was many things. I want to say that the fear thing often stops people. And one of the things I talk about, and that's a fantastic quote, is that you face it. You feel what it feels like. And as you were asking me that question, those feelings actually come back, and you just fight through it. And it's getting through it a few times and building resilience and confidence that, you know what, you're going to get some of those opportunities. You might not get them all, because I've had some failures and mistakes too, but that's how I've grown and matured. And then, really use those opportunities to help me in my professional life and after college as well in my business. So great question. Love that.
Thank you. Okay, well, now it's Hawley, it's your turn. So another quote I found in the book that I really liked was about adversity from you, that says, pressing on through hardship will not only help you grow and succeed, it will also teach you how to deal with resistance in the future. And the story you share in your book about your second coach was brutal. It's no wonder you can persevere under pressure for long periods of time based on the story you shared. And I was wondering if you could share more about how that quote has been true for you since that experience.
Well, it's interesting because I think that part of why I was able to persevere through that time in my life when I had that coach that made us work out, if we weren't going to win, we were going to be in the best shape of any team we played. And I was, but I think it also has to go back to the fact that I grew up with a mom who was disabled, and, she could sit for hours without being able to scratch her nose. And that really resonates with me because, I lived it with her. And when someone is sick, like, their world becomes about them. It doesn't really become about the people around them. And so, like, the minute you walk in the house, she's not going to ask me like, oh, hey, Mom, hey, Hawley, how's your day today? She's like, itch my nose, like, scratch my nose, it itches, So I think that some of that mindset that I had really comes from that. And then just being able to persevere. And sometimes you are going to be met with that resistance. Unfortunately, that's just how life goes. And the ability to be able to believe in yourself, I don't know really where that comes from, but the beliefs that I have in myself, that I can do anything that I put my mind to, and that, pain is temporary, like working out or, being on a diet or whatever the case might be. It's temporary because, like, I always tell myself, if it's 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, I'm like, well, I can do anything for 30 minutes. If my mom could sit there all day long without scratching her nose, then I can do anything for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I can do it. Like, if I'm doing planks, I can do anything for a minute. Okay. I can do anything for 2 minutes, So just that testing of my ability and my mindset, because, the other thing that I learned playing sports, and I learned from that coach, is that if you have relentless pursuit on something, you can really accomplish more than you think you can. He used to, like, throw these impossible balls for us to get to, but just touching it, could be a success. Or maybe you're 5 feet away from it still, but each time you get a little bit closer because you continue to relentlessly pursue that. I always tell anyone who will listen is that I think one of my strengths is that I work very well under pressure. So if there's a tragedy that happens, like, somebody dies or something like that, and it's very tragic for whoever is dealing with that, I'm really great in those situations. Like, we just had a commission issue that happened on Friday at our company. Like, those are the times where I can, like, jump in think very clearly and get things done and handled quickly in order for us to get to a solution. So I think it really comes from all that time that, not only did I have a difficult coach to deal with, he did teach me how to work out hard, that's for sure. But also because I had that mindset of looking at my mom and seeing her have to go through all those trials and really be able to say, okay, well, that's going to take 30 minutes. Okay, I can do anything for 30 minutes,
Yeah, absolutely. So in the book, it's divided up into sections, and you have 7 push-through principles that you talk about in your book. Why did you focus on those 7, and how do they support a person to become the best version of themselves?
So I'll take this one first.
Sure.
So basically, we probably had 1,000 when we first started, 1,000 different traits that we could have talked about. And then we just had to really start looking at what were the most important for us both to be successful in our businesses and where they really came from. And so, in the beginning, the first chapter, on the game on section where we're just kind of setting it up, like why is push through a thing for us? But then the first chapter is time management. Like sometimes people have told me that I'm rigid, and I'm like, are you telling me that like it's a bad thing? I don't mind that about myself. I love that I'm good at routines. I love that when I'm on a schedule and, like I don't want to be late places and, all those kind of things. I love that about myself. And it's made me successful. Like that being rigid has made me successful, in some ways, as long as I can still have some fun and, I'm not like that all the time. Right. And then, the other thing that is just really sticking out to me right now and some of the questions you're asking is I have an 8-year-old son. So I had him when I was 43. And so in my house, we still watch a lot of Disney movies. So almost every chapter that we have, I have like a Disney quote that could go with it too, so like the just keep going is like, just keep swimming. And it's something that, once Dory told Nemo that, or told Nemo's dad that, it's something that has stuck in my brain for many, many years. Cause that's not a movie that came out during my son's life. That came out a long time ago. So, those chapters are really set up and based on taking these principles and really boiling it down to the 7, or, there's more than 7, but really the 7 different areas that we felt would be most beneficial for people who are looking to create that success playbook for themselves.
Yeah, and I would just add to that they really build upon one another. And as you go, and this is somewhat that was interesting as it evolved, it like got more intense and more intense. And we were like, okay, got to build the foundation with practice. And that's what Hawley was, what are the fundamentals? And then what's the next step? The next step is you got to keep going and you got to pick yourself up if you fall down. And, in sports, a lot of times, in volleyball or in baseball, a 300 hitting percentage or a .300 hitting percentage is good. But what people don't realize is that if you didn't get a kill or you didn't get a hit 7 out of the 10 times, well, that's 7 failures or mistakes. So being able to rise up or pick yourself up after falls is also back to your elite mindset. And then we talked about accountability, and that's the keeping score. And I might be out of order a little bit here, but then we got to the, that's pretty intense. And we talked about the importance of having an accountability partner. And it just kept getting more intense. And we talk about fierce. And fierce is what probably the most intense. We were just like ready to go. Brought out the inner beast in us, talking about being assertive and competitive and aggressive and celebrating those things. It's good to celebrate and also try. You can try to, and both Hawley and I, back to our why, has a lot to do with both of our moms and just having a voice and bringing that out in others. And then teamwork and the huddle, the importance of teamwork in on and off the court. And we share stories of our families as teams, our organizations, our churches, our boards, our families, you name it. And so it was, that building upon that really should give people the framework they need to put together their ultimate playbook, customized really for them. And that's really the point, was here's the framework now, or the outline. Now, what is your playbook? What's your game plan? So great questions.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, as we wrap up, I have one more question, and then I want you guys to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you or buy your book. So what's next for 2021? Because you released it, you've shown it to the world. What are you guys up to next?
Go ahead, Carey.
Well, it's first and foremost, both Hawley and I are starting to do speaking engagements. We want to spread this incredible feeling and common threads. We're going to be doing podcasts later on this year. We have started the Push Through Challenge, which this is so important. And it's starting to happen where people are sharing their own push through moments. And we shared several in the book via stories, but we're starting to get, even my younger brother shared his story of, people who didn't think he could become a Marine, and he became a Marine. I mean, that's just so hard. And Amy Carr, who started her own salon last year, just before COVID happened, and what she did, after that. So these people who have grit, like we're talking about, to be vulnerable and share their stories, because this Push Through Challenge and the movement that we really want to create is how we can all lift each other up and empower and make this positive feeling and excitement and concrete strategies spread. I would say also that we're working on a curriculum that could be utilized for associations. We're talking to one that is a women's organization that runs some certificate programs. The book and the journal are perfect for that. The ebook is now up on Amazon. The audiobook is right around the corner and is available in some corners of the world. But Hawley, would you add anything else to that for 2021?
Yeah, I would just say that there is a quiz in the book, and that helps you decide if, with these strategies and techniques, if you are a contender, a competitor, or a champion. And so, our curriculum will be built around that. We'll have different programs for those that are just getting started. Maybe somebody taking the first step out of college. Some of the groups that I'm really excited to speak with are athletes that are going to be transitioning. In sports, only about 2%, they say on TV, 2% of the athletes that play in the NCAA become pros. And if you look at that number, it's even out of that 2%, it's a very small number for women. I'm going to have to do the research because I've been talking about it a lot now. So need to get the exact numbers, but it's very small because we don't have as much opportunity for the professional side of sports, especially here in the United States. So we often are looking at what's next for those female athletes or females that might be in a different type of extracurricular activity. But because we have so many relationships in the volleyball world and other sporting world, we will probably start with NCAA and some other places that we have on our dream list, ESPNW. So if anybody out there has any contacts they can share with us,
put it out there in the world.
Right. But yeah, those are some things that we have coming down the pipe. And then as far as getting in touch with us, of course, we have our what's it called? Our
QR code.
QR code, yes. I knew it was Q. I almost said QVC code. It's like the shopping network or something. QR code. Or you can text push through to 71441. Let me just double check that. Yep. You can text that to 71441, push through, all one word, to receive 7 days of our journal. We do have an accompanying journal with our book. In that, we express 3 things we're grateful for each day, 2 things that we must get done that day, and the mindset that we're going to have to accomplish that. So that's part of how our journal works. So you also can go to the pushthroughmovement.com. Our book and journal are available on Amazon, as well as pushthroughbook.com. So those are some ways that you can get a hold of us. We're also on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and our handles are either push through movement, or push through book. So those are all ways that we can be contacted.
There is some amazing content on YouTube as well. Our book launch, all of the interviews, just the story behind Push Through, a lot of which we shared today, but goes even deeper, and an opportunity to just get this feeling and see the common threads it has with you personally. And more than anything, we want to help empower others to get through their obstacles and to the next level of success for them personally and professionally.
Great. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your wisdom and your story. I've got the link for the book in the post, so you can go there. You can also, of course, put your phone up to the video, regardless of whether you're watching it live or the recording, to be able to get the QR code directly to where that goes. But do consider buying the book. If you've got any ladies that you know specifically who are in a place that need encouragement, that would be a great gift for them, to be able to kind of have some structure around how to push through what's going on to the next stage of their life. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And that's it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.